Whenever I'm ready. Cool. All right, so hello, Internet land. My name is Deuce. I don't have a joke for you today. I'm sorry. But today we are here with the infamous RichaardoTV. We're just going to do an interview, talk a little bit about this, a little bit about that. Yeah. We've already kind of talked about what kind of drinks you can do. Fun fact, he does not drink alcohol, so this is going to be a challenge for me to come up with a mocktail, just kind of based on what I know about Rich, this, that, and the other yet. So while I'm going into making the cocktails, we'll do 2 in total for you this evening. So while I'm making the first one, feel free, just give us an introduction of yourself. What do you do? Where do you come from? And get to it. Boom.
So, thank you very much for inviting me here, Deuce. Very, very happy to be here. My name is Richard. You might know me as RichaardoTV. If you don't, I'm not gay, just a little bit eccentric. Yeah, I've been here chilling in Osaka. I'm hosting a group trip for a week now, so it's like a bunch of my followers follow me around in Osaka. So I managed to sneak away for a little bit to join Deuce because, guy's a legend and, I owe him a few favors. He's done quite a lot for me. But yeah, I do comedy. I do comedy, very slightly, it's not really controversial because no one's really tried to cancel me yet, but it's comedy based off of living in Japan as a foreigner, but I get really into it. I wear my wigs, I impersonate Japanese people, put on the accent, and basically just try and, express a foreigner's average experience in Japan. So interactions with Japanese people that you might have, especially as a black person, you have a lot of funny interactions with Japanese people who, who try to relate to you. They're like, oh my gosh, I love hip hop. Floyd, oh, you look like Floyd Mayweather. That happened to me before. The guy just pointed at me, just like, oh, Floyd Mayweather. So I'm just like, you know what, why don't I tell these stories, but really get into it. Really, I call it an immersive experience. Other people might call it racist, but no, I think because of how accurate it is, it's actually pretty real. People let me get away with it. So they're like, you know what, this is racist as hell, but it's true. So that's basically what I do. Online, on social media. Fun fact, I don't actually live in Japan. I have lived in Japan in the past, but I went back to London for university, and I'm currently traveling Japan just for this group trip, saying hi to all my old friends, meeting Deuce for the first time. It was very fun. First thing he said to me was, damn, you small, you're a tiny man.
I meant that in the best way possible.
I don't know, Deuce. I can't say I wasn't a little bit hurt by that.
Just a little?
Just a little. But then I came back. Okay, you see my comeback, though. I said, I make up with it in other places.
But you just called yourself a little man because you only get a little upset?
No, if I was a little man, I don't have short man syndrome, funnily enough. You know how short men always feel like they need to overcompensate?
True.
I've never really... You know what I mean? I'm not an angry person. I've always wondered why other short men have that kind of like fiery spark in them. I've never felt uncomfortable with being like short or feeling like I need to overcompensate, which is weird. So I wonder if that's normal. I wonder if that portrays confidence or weakness, just pure weakness.
I would say that's more or less self-awareness, right?
Thank you very much.
All right, so the first cocktail that we have for you is kind of a twist on a mango lassi. The main reason that we went with mango is because one of the reasons that I found his videos was because he started talking about the mango juice. If you know anything about Japanese mango, if you put a little 10-10 under that go, you're going in a different direction. So feel free to look up that content. I'm not going to get into it too much. So it's a chai tea lassi with a little bit of egg white.
He means mango, by the way.
Yeah.
Just for those who didn't, There
you go. So feel free. I'm going to pour myself up a shot of Fernet because I'm a true alcoholic.
Fernet?
Yep. It's bartender's breakfast of choice yet.
Itadakimasu.
So, cheers, brother. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So light, refreshing, not too heavy.
It's light, it's not heavy. Yeah, I was expecting it to be heavier for some reason, but it's nice because mango lassi is literally like yogurt.
Exactly. But adding that carbonation just kind of gives it a little bit of lift. Bubbles pop on your tongue.
Popping on my tongue.
All right, so Rich, man, give us a little bit more about your upbringing. Like, what got you into creating content, going in comedy? You also do music as well. Like, give us the full spiel, man.
Yeah, so my upbringing, I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness.
Really?
Yeah. Pure, hardcore Jehovah's Witness to the bone up until I was 19. Like preaching every week, knocking on doors, church twice a week. It was my entire personality. You know, very sheltered upbringing. My mom, single mom, you know, she was very protective of me. So she wasn't necessarily strict, but very like, I have to keep him safe at all times, away from all, you know, bad worldly influences. You know, don't go out, blah, blah, blah. You know, I was homeschooled for a large portion of my life as well.
Oh, wow.
But my mom wasn't a teacher, and we couldn't afford a tutor. So she was just like, here's a Bible, and yeah, just read that, and that, you know, you'll get all your information from that. So with that, I was literally just a kid that had to make my own entertainment. So only child. We moved away from my hometown for a little bit, so I didn't have any friends, and I was homeschooled. All I had was the Bible, the church, no one my own age. So in some ways, so I had to make my own entertainment. I feel like that's where a lot of my creativity came from, because by the time I came back into education at about 11 years old, I was a little bit, you know, I had some calibration to do, you know, because I was quite weird in the sense that I'd missed out on some essential social interactions. So I wouldn't say I was autistic, but I was kind of like half autistic, to the point where, you know, I was so out of pocket. I was out of pocket to the fact that it wasn't weird. I was just funny to be like, oh, I can't believe this guy just said that kind of thing. So I realized I used it to my advantage, because I realized I was making people laugh with kind of like the things I was saying and stuff like that. So the Jehovah's Witness thing is actually a funny story, because, you know, throughout high school I was a Jehovah's Witness, no sex before marriage, no drugs, no smoking, no, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I was doing it to a T up until I was 19. And then I went to Japan, essentially. I essentially ran away to Japan to like lose my virginity. And that kind of destroyed everything. I kind of got kicked out of the congregation.
Oh, wow.
I was doing the Jehovah's Witness thing in Japan for a little bit as well. Like I transferred congregation, then I found a girlfriend, got kicked out. Kind of not ruined the relationship with my mum, but things are very awkward with her now, because, you know, that was like her only goal in life was to make sure I was a Jehovah's Witness brother in the congregation. And, but yeah, that's a story for another day. It's funny. In hindsight, it's very funny. But what I'm trying to say is, I think my creativity and my weird approach to comedy comes from just being so isolated for so long, having to find a way to entertain myself. Kind of, you know, being sheltered, it made me it brought out the best of my creativity side. So that's why I've always been, you know, the funny guy, the class clown, and, you know, the weird guy. Except I didn't always realize I was being weird, you know, but I'm not quite autistic.
It's a spectrum, man.
It's a spectrum.
It is a spectrum. Like, I have a couple of those tendencies as well.
Yeah, right.
But no, I mean, I guess that's kind of interesting. So it would make sense from hearing that story why most of your content is based on Japan experiences, primarily because before then you were in the Jehovah's Witness kind of congregation.
Right.
And like your first real life experience is here in Japan.
Exactly. That's when my life began. 20 years old, I feel like, my life began.
And currently, how old are you right now?
27.
27. So this is like the good, 7 years kind of like of experiences relating to Japan. Even like now you're kind of going to South Korea a little bit more. I know like you got the little homies like yelling your name and stuff. And like I saw the last video and it's actually kind of dope. But even with all that stuff being said, like when you're talking about the different things that have happened to you in Japan in a comedic fashion, you often use characters to kind of express different scenarios. So like Momo-chan's probably one of your most famous ones.
Yeah.
Then you got the, I don't know the guy's name.
Mr. Hashimoto.
Mr. Hashimoto,
the salaryman.
Right? The salaryman, yeah.
It's a salaryman,
So like, how did you come to cultivate these different characters? And then why did you feel like they were necessary to kind of help you tell your stories?
Good question. Okay, so the Momo-chan character, this all stems from a girl I was talking to for a little bit. She was called Momo. And as a way of flirting with her, I realized we had a FaceTime because she was in Japan and I was in London. I thought she was kind of cute. We started talking back and forth. We had a FaceTime and I realized whenever she spoke English, she sounded, blacker than me, basically.
Okay.
And then I realized, she likes black guys because that's where she's learned her English. She has never lived abroad. That's just what she does. So we talked for a little bit and then it was the most emotionally, tumultuous talking stage I've ever had because she wasn't fully over her ex. So we talk on FaceTime for 3 hours and then go on to her story and immediately talk about how much she misses her ex. So I'm just like, okay, you know what? Maybe you're not ready to date. But during that 2 weeks, I got the idea for a Momo-chan type skit. So it was my way of kind of flirting with her. I was just like, hey, you know what? I'm making a video dedicated to you about how black you speak. So, and that was the my ex was American skit. I don't know if you remember. I think that's one of the most, that's the start of Momo-chan. It was a really viral video. Did very well on all the platforms. And it was basically talking about how she sounds really sweet in Japanese, and as soon as she switches to English, she's just like, hey, yo, that's tough, nigga. Like, you know, she's like, konnichiwa, kore. Oishii ne. Mecha oishii. And then she's like, yeah, no, you know this mango shit? That's like the mango lassie. Yeah. And that's how kind of like, you know, girls like that, right? They kind of.
Yeah, a good handful of them, yeah.
And a lot of them are into black guys, or they like the hip hop aesthetic. So Momo-chan was just a shout out to her, basically. And it did numbers. And I was just like, hey, I made a video making fun of you, but that's also kind of like my love language. And she liked it. She was just like, oh my God, I love the way that it's so popular. She didn't take offense to it.
That's what's up.
Yeah, it was really nice. But a few days after that, she just gave me, she was the one that was giving me inspiration for Momo-chan. Because this Momo-chan was, the real Momo, was like a little bit bipolar with her feelings. So she didn't know what she wanted. And I feel like she was very hurt in her past relationships. So me just being a regular nice guy who just, you know, wanted to date, I was, you know, I would tell her these nice things, these sweet things. You know, I can't wait to, you know, come and see you, spend time with you, get to know you. And she would always have her guard up because she didn't want to be hurt or disappointed like she was in the past. So you could tell she wanted that, but she wasn't sure she could trust me.
Right.
So she would say stuff like, every time I would say, oh, I'm looking forward to spending time with you, she would be like, oh yeah, okay, sure, whatever, I don't care. She would literally say that.
Yeah, like put up kind of like this cold front, yeah.
And I'm just like, what's the deal with that? Like, it would hurt me. I'm just like, I just said something nice. Like, why can't you trust that? I just want to be, you know, I want to treat you like a human. And a lot of the time she'd say very contradicting things in the same sentences. So she'll be like, oh, I really want to start a family by 25. But I don't want a husband because I don't really need a man. But I do want a baby, so maybe I'll just have a baby. She would be like, she knew what she wanted, but she also didn't want to want a man because she'd been hurt. Like, she was very... And I'm just like, you know what? Fuck this, bro. I think we should stop talking.
I dig. Yeah, like you said, it's very contradictory, but I kind of understand it to a degree. Like, you don't want to open yourself up to that vulnerability. Right. But there's still certain aspects of life that you want to participate in, so...
And I understand. I don't hold it against her, but it wasn't really for me. She was a bit too hurt. I was just like, you need time to heal. She always wanted to talk. And I was just like, I don't think it's a good idea. You know, I think you're just not ready to start dating again. You're still hurt. But people loved Momo-chan. So I'm just like, you know what? I'm going to keep making Momo-chan videos. You know, so that's how it just kept going. That's how Momo-chan was created. And then Mr. Hashimoto, it was just one skit about being interviewed, applying for a Japanese job interview. Yeah. And it was just a salaryman who, you know, wanted to be cool and hip and relate to you as a black guy. He was just like, oh, you're a black applicant. Yeah? Oh, yeah, I like a black guy, you know. I like Men in Black, you know, Will Smith, you know, so cool. And he just, you know how they try to relate to you so much to the point that they are just racist by mistake. So they stereotype you to the point where it's just like, oh yeah, you know, you have dreadlocks, yeah, you know, you look like a rapper. I really like rappers, Tupac and Eminem, and then they just kind of go deeper and deeper and deeper. Oh yeah, you know, BLM, I'm real BLM supporter. You know, yeah, I support you. You know, to the point where it's just like,
thanks, man, but you don't have to validate yourself that much.
Yeah, exactly. So they just overdo it sometimes, especially when they're drunk.
Oh, yeah, for sure, yeah. Exactly. You go to a Bon guy. Like, I was a salaryman for a long, long time. Like, I used to work for the government here in tourism. And there was one trade show that I went to, and this one guy, like, we hit it off, like, immediately just because, like, we started talking about, like, old school music, like Tribe Called Quest, this, that, and the other. We exchanged information. And then every so often, like, he'd be like, hey, you know this song? You know this song? You know this song? Just randomly through line, which is like, oh, yeah, thanks, man. Thanks, man. Thanks, man. But it's like, that's not really my whole persona. Like, I just happen to like this stuff. And I can understand, like, that's the point where you want to create a friendship, but there's more than just, like, that one aspect of friendship. But I can say on the whole, like, Japanese people are really good at, like, creating boxes for their friends, and they hardly ever overlap. So I was probably one of the first people that he could talk to about, like, hip-hop freely. But, you know, like, it's kind of like give and take sort of thing, yeah. But it was just more or less like him overtly giving when I wasn't asking for anything. And
Yeah.
I felt bad because I couldn't really give anything back. It's just like, yeah, I like music. That's it. Like, I'm not really deep into it.
Yeah.
It's like you seem more interested in the topic or you seem more knowledgeable about it than me.
Yeah.
So it's like, am I like an anthropological experiment for you? Or are you looking at me as a real person?
There we go.
So there's a lot of that going on yet.
Yeah.
But going into it, like these characters creating like this thing, like how do you think people really connect with your character? Obviously, like you have a pretty good amount of followers. I'm pretty sure they're all not having the same Black experience or like they can truly relate to the things that you're getting to, like the undertones, like probably just a comedy.
Yep.
But how do you feel like your content is received by your demographic?
Yeah. So basically, I think there's at least two or three. There's three main demographic. Like I think my demographic is split into three, maybe four. The Black people who, actually maybe four. Okay, there's just anime fans, people who like Japan content or find it impressive that I can speak Japanese and just do comedy in Japanese. They just find it entertaining that I can speak. I'd say the second group of people are Black people or foreigners who live in Japan, who are just like, oh my gosh, this has happened to me before. They might not necessarily be Black, but like, oh, I'm a Mexican person and this person profiled me and started talking about tacos and Taco Bell and, cocaine, just because I come from Mexico. And then there's the third type of person that's kind of like, let's say maybe a Japanese person who's lived abroad. And he's just like, they're like, oh my gosh, this guy can capture Japanese people, my people, really, really well. But I can kind of see them doing that, and I find it really funny that this guy can capture Japanese people that like the Japanese people who don't get offended. I feel like the Japanese people get offended, but the Japanese people who have lived abroad and they can understand my Western sense of humor, they're like, yeah, this guy captures Japanese people really well. And then there's a fourth kind of person who's not necessarily interested in living in Japan. They may be like white people, not really interested in living in Japan, but they enjoy the racist jokes. They just enjoy laughing at something that they shouldn't laugh at. Because you know how some people are like, oh, I don't know if I should laugh at this. My comedy is very, gray to the point where it's like, can I laugh at this? Because a lot of the time I end up racially abusing myself through my Japanese characters. I call myself the N-word, this and that. But then I feel like you get a few white people that are just like, I can't believe this guy is like actually putting this content out there. Like this is so racist, but also like really funny. So I'm just going to kind of laugh at it in the corner. I'm just going to snigger at it in the corner, Nigger. Yeah. But, yeah.
But no, I mean, I get it to a degree, right? Like, if we're talking like old school stand-up comedy, like, like your Eddie Murphys, your Richard Pryors, like you have to honestly be in front of your customers and be saying these jokes and you get immediate feedback from the crowd. Obviously, like being online, it's all like numbers, views, comments, and it's not necessarily like in your face, but it's a little bit more anonymous. So maybe like that last group of people that you were kind of describing, like that's where they can kind of feel like fully free to be like, yeah, this is funny as hell because this nigga said nigga to his nigga self, like, for lack of better terms. But like kind of going into it, going from your upbringing up till now with you basically being, in my mind, like 7 years old as far as like welcoming to the world. Now, in the past 7 years, like moving from pretty much isolation to like this person is stopped on the street and like, hey, like you're Richardo, you're doing really good and all these other sorts of things. Like, how do you feel like your perspective on people, how your perspective on Japan, how your perspective on just everything has changed over the last 7 years?
So my perspective of people as I've kind of, as from the start of my new life kind of thing. My perception of the world kind of thing. How has it changed? That's a good question. And maybe I could give an example of, I feel like a lot more people are, I think I've lost a little bit of faith in humanity, if that makes sense. I've not necessarily lost faith. I feel like I was more, I had more of a belief that everyone was good, had the best intentions, everyone was trying to do the best thing. Everyone had the best intentions. But then I realized a lot of people do things for selfish reasons, selfish motivations. Not everyone is kind of going to be on your side, or not everyone who claims to be a friend is going to kind of come through for you when you need it. So one example of that is during Japan, while I was in Japan at 19, 20 years old, went on a Tinder date. with a girl, and she, we did the thing. She came back to my place, and it was all really nice. And we were planning on having another date. But during that time, until in between our first date and the second date, I saw her story, and she was just like, "Oh, I miss you so much." And there was just like some random nigga on the story, and I'm just like, "Okay, is that your?" I was casual with this, but I was still fresh out of the Jehovah's Witness. So I was just like, "Oh, it looks like she has a boyfriend. If she has a boyfriend, I don't want to get involved. Like, I feel guilty, So I messaged her, and she was just like, "Oh yeah, I do have a boyfriend. I hope you don't mind." And I'm just like, "Well, no judgment to you, but I just don't think I could participate in this because, I feel bad for the guy." So I had very strong morals back then, especially when I was 20, especially because I was fresh out.
Right.
But as time went on, I realized that it's literally I got under the impression that it's like every man for himself almost, to the point where if a married, so a few years later, I had an affair with a married woman at work. Mainly just because I was going through a phase of where I wanted to see if I could do it, because there were quite a few things that I was insecure about, things that I didn't know about myself because of my Jehovah's Witness past, things I haven't experimented with. And one of the things that I was insecure about, and one of the things I wanted to prove to myself, is that I was attractive to the opposite sex. I wanted to prove to myself that I could get a woman, I could become, be attractive to someone else, even if they were married. I was just like, I wonder if I could get this married woman. I wonder if I can flirt with her to the point where, just for my own ego.
So you went like full Lucifer mode.
Yeah. It was like, I went down, not completely, but down the red pill rabbit hole kind of thing.
Okay.
Picking up women, how to generate attraction in any woman you speak to on the street kind of thing, Buy my course, learn how to talk to women. I didn't buy any courses, but I was watching YouTube videos of how to, because, if I'm straight out of Jehovah's Witness, I really just wanted to have sex. That's all I was ever curious about, just having sex, being in a relationship. So I YouTubed it, like fastest way to meet women and, not having to pay for it. And they were just like, talk to women on the street, talk to women in bars and restaurants. And I'm just like, okay, I guess I'll try it. A bit of an introvert, but if that's what I need to do to prove to myself that I can do this, let me get into it. So I started, that was like my party era. Like when I was 20, it was in Japan. I would go out to Shibuya, to Hub, talk to people, talk to gaijin hunters, try and take them back. And, in a very, pure Jehovah's Witness consensual way. And then it kind of trickled on into my London life. After I left Japan, I kind of continued doing that as well. And then I kind of got a better perspective of the world. And I'm just like, okay, life is not all about trying to go after women and get women. That's just a very, like, bit more of an immature ego thing. But at first, I thought that's what being a man is. And I was a little bit misguided because obviously just single mum. And I was just trying to find my way. So I was just like, okay, I guess being a man means being able to attract women and being that guy, being the most popular guy, this and that. So I tried to go down that road, and I kind of felt myself, there are lots of, I lost myself a little bit. I felt myself losing who I was. Because I'm not naturally this stereotypical ideal of a man. Like, I'm not. But a lot of that red pill stuff involves lying to yourself and trying to become that person. So I'd find myself saying things that doesn't naturally come to me, just because I felt like it was the thing you should say in the moment. Like if a woman complimented me, on my outfit, I would be like, thanks, I know, you look all right, kind of thing, just for that whole, nonchalant kind of thing. Whereas the real me would have been like, thank you, you look great too. So I found myself like losing myself. I'm just like, this isn't who I am. And I felt kind of like a bit of an identity crisis. Like I'm trying to be this alpha male, trying to sleeping with all these women kind of thing. So I need to say things like this and that, because that's what the red pill alpha male master who sleeps with 7 women a week says. And then I realized that, it's not me. I went through a slightly depressive period, being like, I don't really know who I am anymore. Like, I'm trying to do this game red pill thing. And I'm not even having that much sex anyways. So what is the point? Like, it's not even working that much for me. I did go on loads of dates with really beautiful women, but funnily enough, it never went past the first date. And I think it's because once they got to speaking to me, they realized I was either putting on a front or they saw through the ruse I was trying to like put on, you know. So it's like, then I realized, just be yourself, bro. Just be yourself, and the right people will come to you. Kind of thing. It's more about quality of attracting the people that are meant for you, and that's what I've been living by for the last few years, and it's really been working out for me. So,
no, I really respect that, man. Like, to go through your hero's journey, like having to find out all these things on your own, as opposed to just having somebody tell you that. I feel like it's a lot more impactful if you're able to go through that experience and come out on the end and make your own choice.
Yeah.
But you did bring up a very interesting thing, and this is something that I struggled with when I was a little bit younger, primarily my teenage years. Like, I don't know if you know, but since I've been 13, I was emancipated. So emancipated means like legally divorced from your parents.
Oh,
so,
right.
like, coming up in the world, not having either a mother or father, 13 years old, starting puberty, it really did open my mind up to like, okay, what does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a citizen? What does it mean to be a person? So these are things that I've been very fortunate to have mentors about, and now I'm able to be a mentor to a lot of other people. But in your perspective, what do you think being a man is?
It's a very good question.
I'm a heavy hitter, bro.
Yeah. I don't think that there is one answer. I don't think that there's a clear-cut answer. There's obviously the ideal, stereotypical, like a stereotypical ideal of being a provider, being, stoic, being strong for the family. And while I think those are all important and we should all strive to do those things, I feel like there's more to being, I'd say being, honesty, having integrity. I feel like my ideal of a man might be a little bit more unorthodox, a little bit more because of how I was brought up, So I feel, of course, it's good to be a provider. Of course, it's good to be a provider, but only provide if you are able to provide. You know what I mean? Just because I may be slightly low on money at this point of my life, for example, and I can't provide in the traditional sense, does that make me less of a man? Well, no, I've still got a penis. I'm just low on bread. You know what I mean? So that doesn't make me less deserving of being on this earth. Doesn't make me any less of a human. So I feel like being honest, being having your integrity, doing your best for the people you care about. You don't necessarily need to do it to the point where, you're checking all the boxes like, oh, I'm making 6 figures and I'm getting a house and I'm doing this and blah, 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 paying for all the dates and stuff like that. It's more about the attitude. I think it's a mindset rather than, and trying to get to a certain point of where you can provide. Like, I want to be a provider. When I first met my girlfriend, we were really in love, and I told her, and she knew I did the social media thing, but I wasn't, I didn't really have much in terms. I just started making money from social media, and I didn't really have much. And I wanted to make sure that our values aligned. I didn't know how important money was to her. So I told her ahead of time. I was just like, hey, I just wanted to make sure that I'm not rich, I'm not wealthy, not yet. I'm working towards it. Is that okay for you? I don't feel like I can really provide for you in the traditional sense at this time, but I'm working towards it. And, she was just like, I believe in you, I support you, I'm excited to see you grow. Thank you. And now I'm at a point, 2 years later, I'm making a lot more money with social media, taking people on group trips. People are paying essentially thousands of dollars just to spend time with me for a week kind of thing. But I wouldn't say I'm more of a man now than I was 2 years ago. I'm still the same person. I'm just further along in my journey. So, I still had the mindset. I was, honest. I was ambitious. I had, clear goals of what I wanted to do for the people that I loved. But just because I wasn't there yet doesn't necessarily mean that I'm less deserving of, a partner that loves me or whatever. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It does. Like, being honest with yourself and being able to take in, like, the reality of your situation and explaining that to a partner who's able to understand you and kind of get to where you're going from. Like, I feel like that's a very powerful thing, especially, like, to be a man, to have that vulnerability, I think is most important. Because that shows strength in a way different way than, traditional alpha red pill things. like going from the beginning of your journey, being more honest with yourself, finding a partner who also shares the same values, and then being able to move towards the goals that you've been working for. I believe like ideally, like that's what a good person does.
That's what I'm saying.
Not necessarily to say like good and bad, but to, in my mind, when I say like a good person, like being confident and comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
Right. So just moving along with that, like I give you props for that, you know, because it's definitely not an easy journey. Like, of course, everybody's going to be taking their own journey, getting here and there, but to be fully present with it and be fully honest with yourself, I believe is probably the most important thing yet.
Yeah.
So that's just something real easy, real quick. So that is a matcha yuzu soda. It's quite heavy on the matcha.
Okay.
Just a little bit of lemon to break up some of the brevity, and soda and yuzu honey.
Okay, thank you.
No problem, no problem. Should get your gut right for the rest of the evening.
This is interesting. I've never had matcha in anything that was like water based. Like, it's always been like matcha latte, matcha frappuccino. So this is interesting. Is it matcha powder that you use?
Yep. So like earlier before the show, like I just did the matcha thing to make sure it was all incorporated yet.
And then you combined it in
Yep,
liquid form.
Yep.
Cool.
All right, so now I kind of want to talk about the pressures of being a influencer. Is it okay to call you an influencer? Do you see yourself as an influencer?
Please don't call me an influencer. I had to tell my girlfriend, like, it almost turned into an argument actually, because she first introduced me to her parents as an influencer, and there's nothing wrong with being an influencer, but I just feel like that's selling me short, because I feel like an influencer can be someone who shakes their ass on the internet and gets money for it. And I feel like what I create online is art that I really put time and effort into. You know, I don't know if you follow me on Instagram. You don't ever see me shit post or do any, you know, like all my videos have been skits. Every video that I've posted has been something that has been crafted for the enjoyment of other people.
Right.
So I just happen to do this online. You know, I have, you know, done stand-up comedy in the past. You know, I'd either like to identify as a comedian or an entrepreneur, because I do the Richardo Academy thing. I have like a small Japanese language school as well that, you know, I teach Japanese people, also Japanese to followers. I have a team of teachers that work under me and teach the course on my behalf, kind of thing. So, you know, I've got a little thing going, and I feel like I want to work towards being a businessman, an entrepreneur. Content creator is, I prefer content creator.
Okay.
People don't really approach me to, I mean, I can't remember the last time I influenced for someone else's brand. I feel like I am a brand at this point. If I'm advertising something, it's usually my own stuff, RichaardoTV, my group trip, and stuff like that. But I feel like influencers, everyone hates influencers. People just hate influencers. They're just, you know, you could be a pretty girl, get a bunch of followers, and influence, you know, and that's fine. But I feel like I do more than that. You know, I'm usually, you know, I'm quite humble, but I'm also very objective. And I really feel like I do a lot more than that. So of course, yes, I have some influence. Otherwise, you know, I wouldn't be able to, you know, sell these group trips or whatever.
Right.
But I think I'm a little bit more than that. So I prefer content creator. Okay. I really enjoy the creation process. I like putting work out. You know, I'm going on to, you know, I'm doing writing stuff. I'm getting more into acting. And I'm trying to find more opportunities in actual show business as well. So yes, that's why I kind of prefer content creator.
Okay.
Yeah, rather than influencer.
All right, well, Mr. Content Creator, cheers to you.
Thank you very much.
Now, as a content creator, obviously, like, you're creating content for the masses, for them to enjoy.
Yeah.
And one of the big things, not even just in content creation, just work in general, especially like if you're trying to build up all these different things. I know I deal with it myself on a lot of different levels. Like, how do you deal with like burnout? How do you take care of your mental, your physical, your emotional, while still maintaining like the requirements that you put on yourself for your content creation?
Well, it's really interesting because a lot of people feel pressure when content creating. I actually don't. I create when I feel like creating. I create because I enjoy it. Sometimes I will disappear for like a month. At least recently came back from like a 2-month hiatus because I was trying to work on some, you know, other side projects, business endeavors, music, you know, the music production that I do. Maybe we could talk about it later. But I think I'm a bit different in the sense that I just don't. If I don't want to make, if I don't, I just won't do it. I just won't do it. I'll focus on something else. I'll go through phases. Sometimes I'm in a more music phase. I'll spend a few weeks, focusing on my music and my marketing strategies for my music because I'm planning on coming back with that. Sometimes I work on new projects. So I'm trying to start a new English teaching brand. But if I don't feel like creating and I'm not having any inspiration, I won't do it. And I don't feel bad about it. Because I trust the algorithm, that Instagram, a lot of people say that if you don't post 3 times a week, then, it's going to affect your growth. But I've taken 1 month breaks, come back with a video, and my views have been, and comments and engagement is exactly the same. Like my fans are still going to be there, and I trust that my content is quality enough to kind of get my followers back in the groove of things, and they're all just like, oh, I miss you, where have you been, kind of thing. So for me personally, no pressure. It's just a bit stressful with things like this, the group trip especially, loads of things to plan. People are paid so much money to spend time with you. You need to make sure they've got their money's worth, make sure they don't feel like they're getting ripped off.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to wake up to a video saying, hey guys, I really didn't want to make this video today, but I just want to talk about my experience with RichaardoTV and his group tour. You know what I mean? You don't want to wake up to stuff like that. But that's the only slightly stressful thing about it. But when it comes to creation, I enjoy it. I do it because I enjoy it. And when I don't feel like I don't want to do it, then I just stop for a bit. Just stop for a bit,
Fair enough, yeah. That's pretty cool, though. Like, you're able to just step away, really kind of focus on the different aspects of the things that you want to move towards. Now, with that being said, looking at the future, what does Richardo TV look like? What does Richardo Language Academy look like? What is your ideal next 5 years look like?
Ideal next 5 years is start up improve Richardo Academy. Because right now business is slow. I will say that business in Richardo Academy has been slow. That's because I haven't been posting recently. Most of my customers come from there. So I want to become a better businessman, delegate jobs a little bit better, get someone to help me with the consistent posting, get my, bigger intake of students, make sure my admin team is on point, make sure Richardo Academy is like a really like solidified, legitimate Japanese study resource. Then copy and paste that business model onto other languages. I can go into Korean because, I'm starting to get a little bit more of a Korean fan base. I could just copy and paste it onto Korean. I'm trying to do an English one right now. So I want these all to be like, well, as big as I can make them, just English tutoring services, Japanese tutoring services, database, learning, memberships, courses, video courses, all that kind of thing. Because I know that, subscriptions, all that kind of thing. I think there's a lot of money in that. And my brand is very kind of like, it's not as professional in the sense that we talk about all kinds of bad words. We teach all kinds of inappropriate Japanese. So it's kind of like a unorthodox way of kind of teaching. That's like my brand. So it's just like, we'll teach you all the bad words. We'll teach you all the stuff you won't find in textbooks. All the casual stuff that you hear at a bar like this, at 2 a.m. when you're talking to the drunk salaryman, the real kind of like stuff that you can only learn once you're here. I want to kind of bring it to people ahead of time because, so there's that. Then there's the music aspect. I've been rebranding my music. I've taken the time out to improve my music production. I realized I used to rap in English and Japanese, but I realized I make a better singer. So I've been changing my music style, picked up the guitar again so I can use that in my music production. So I want to be doing more music stuff. I don't need to go mainstream because my music style is a little bit more alternative, I would say. But I want to find people that appreciate and connect and relate to the sound and, the feeling behind the music, the emotion behind the music, because that's what fulfills me. Finding people who appreciate my creations. That's always what's fulfilled me. Whether it be making people laugh in the setting of a classroom, an outing, I've always enjoyed making people laugh and inspiring people, whatever it may be. So music, and then doing more stuff on TV, showbiz, acting, writing. I've been writing a show actually with a couple of directors. I got a director and a producer that I that I happened to meet. And basically, my life in Japan was like really, really like, there's just so many funny things that happen that you just can't make up. So I realized, why don't I make a little bit of a story out of it, a drama / comedy. So it's this comedy that we're writing. I pitched it to this guy that I met in this comedy class, and he really loved it. And basically, it's Jehovah's Witness kid runs away to Japan to lose his virginity, basically. And it's just the things that happened to me. I was just basically going to be rewriting it, and kind of everyone I've talked to about it was just like, this is a really good idea, because no one seems to have ever like done this thing before. Like, it's a bit specific, but also kind of interesting. Like people are curious about Jehovah's Witnesses because everyone really kind of knows who they are, but they don't know much about them.
Yeah,
they're a bit mysterious. So I'm hoping to kind of tell the story about who Jehovah's Witnesses are. Are they normal people? Are they a cult? You know, some people believe they're a cult and stuff like that. And the obstacles I had to go through in order to finally break free from all my friends and family, everything, leave behind everything I ever known and loved to kind of find my own way at the, in a very funny, like loads of funny things happen, but like, at the expense of my, mom maybe, and relationship with my family friends. So writing a show, I'd love to star in it as well, play myself, maybe get someone to play the young version of me, and then I'll play the now kind of thing. So yeah, like 25-year-old virgin type vibes. I don't know, just navigating his way through Japan. There's that, and essentially Childish Gambino, Donald Glover, he's a big inspiration because he does all these things to a very high level. So, in my opinion, if there is to be a next Donald Glover, I feel like it would be me.
Okay.
And I feel like that's who I'm using as inspiration. And he grew up as a Jehovah's Witness as well, which is funnily enough. So I feel like I relate to his story, and I feel like he wasn't even allowed to watch TV, according to what I read. Some Jehovah's Witnesses are like that. I wasn't allowed to watch Pokemon. So I feel like that's where a lot of his quirky creativity came from. Just trying to find a way to be a kid and have fun and enjoy yourself. It takes a lot of thinking, So yeah, that's basically what the next 5 years looks like for me. I want to do music, be a bit more of an entrepreneur, own businesses, create music to a high level, do a bit of writing, do a bit of acting, just all-round creative. Just creative guy, just that guy. Yeah, and I believe I can do it so long as I don't die.
No, fair enough, yeah. I'm like a real big person into manifestation. So if you talk about it often, it will come to fruition. Right? That's how we were able to open up this bar. That's how come we're able to set up a meeting like this. But yeah, I'm looking forward to your next 5 years, man. Let's get you on Netflix. Let's talk to Sony.
Yeah.
Let's get you up there, man.
I'm aiming big, 100%. I'm aiming big. I'm very confident I can do it. I just keep working. It's just consistency. I dig. Yeah.
All right, so now this is a point in time where Eric has come up with a handful of questions for us to go over, kind of speed round. Just say the first thing that comes to mind. Like if you want to go off into details about it, you can. If not, no pressure about it.
Okay.
Eric, approximately how many questions do we have?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there's 7 questions for Richard and 6 questions for you.
Okay, cool.
Nice.
So, Richardo.
Sorry, by the way, is my camera still recording?
It's the one.
Yeah, can we turn that off?
Okay.
Yes, please. Just that the red button on the right. Yeah, thank you, bro.
Cool. All right, so Eric, take it away.
Okay. So, first question. Who's your favorite character in your skit?
Mr. Hashimoto.
Most challenging character to play?
Momo-chan.
Out of all the skits you've done, which one is your favorite or most fun?
Black Friday.
Wait, what's Black Friday?
Black Friday is when I walk into the office and they think that Black Friday is a celebration for black people. So they're just dancing they're just like, oh, freak out. And then he was just like, oh, Black Friday, standing together for Floyd Mayweather. In the words of Martin Lucifer King, I have a dream to party. And then it's just like, yeah, we have to show respect to black people. They've done so much for our country, blah, blah, blah. I've prepared a bit of, I've prepared some watermelon and fried chicken for you guys. So please, let's partake in the black traditions. And then at the very end, he wraps a chain around his neck and he's just like, today, I belong to you.
Okay.
That's black. But that's Black Friday.
All right.
link it in the caption. Okay. What's your favorite Japanese slang or phrase?
I'm sure I had one. I just hate the fact that manko is in the forefront of my mind, but that's not what I want to say. It's just the first thing that always comes to mind. I'm sure there's a better one. There's a better one.
TikTok.
Manko.
What's your favorite English phrase or slang?
I should know this.
It's your first language, I'm assuming.
Yeah. What's something that I say all the time?
Honestly, stupid.
Stupid.
Dickhead.
Dickhead.
Calling people dickheads, yeah. Dickhead.
So Monko and dickheads. All right,
Yeah.
let me see where your head's at.
Favorite place to visit in Japan?
I would say where I used to live, Komaba Todaime, which is just next to Shibuya, which is where I lived with my granddad in Japan. People don't all know, but I lived with my granddad when I was living in Japan. Yeah, because he worked for the embassy. So he just happened to be there while I was interested in Japan. So I was just like, let me move in with him. And we lived in this massive mansion. I'm just like, wow, like 4 bathrooms. 4 bathrooms, right, like 10-minute walk from Shibuya. I'm just like, damn. But I also had a neighbor who's still one of my good friends today. And he lets me stay in the area. So it means I can kind of go back. It feels like I'm going back home.
Nice.
Like, yeah. So Komaba Todaime and my curry shop that I used to work at, which was the inspiration for a lot of my skits, is right outside the station there as well. So I got the curry shop. I got all the nostalgia. Yeah, so Shibuya, Komaba Todaime, that area kind of thing.
That's pretty dope, yeah.
Yeah, it's just nostalgia for me. Like really nice memories. But Yokohama, I'd say, is my favorite place. I haven't been there for a long time, but Yokohama, I think, is the most aesthetic. Just, yeah, I love Yokohama too. So.
Last question. If you were to live in Japan again, where would you live and why?
Yokohama or Osaka? I'm thinking of Osaka. I'm thinking of Osaka this time. Really loving it. Really loving the vibes this time around for Osaka. Deuce is here, obviously, cool guy. Yasuke, one of my best friends, you know, rapper extraordinaire, you know. Otto boy, Shinobi Janak the Jamaica boy. Yasuke. That's called Boat by Yasuke feat. Malcolm, yeah? One of the best songs ever. Yeah, it's a very good song. The people who know about it, bro. Blasian rap, it's insane. Anyways, he lives here. And he's a fellow content creator, next big thing. So we wanted to make a, you know, we're like international friends right now because we meet in different kind of countries. We've traveled Korea together. He's come to visit me in London. I'm going to go visit him in Canada very soon. But we want to make content, a lot more content in real life, in person. And Osaka is where he's based. It's also the comedy capital pretty much of Japan. So I thought, okay, I do comedy, so Osaka will probably be a good fit. Yokohama, just because it's nice. It has all the convenience of Tokyo, in my opinion. But it's quieter. It's quieter, less people. And it's, you know, nice, clean, quiet. And I don't really like people that much. So
fair enough. Yeah.
And it'll be cheaper as well. But yeah, I'm going to try out Osaka.
Cool. All right,
yeah,
Osaka.
yeah.
Osaka's definitely a vibe. Highly recommended.
Yeah. So.
All right, Chinaman, hit me.
All right. What's your favorite Japanese slang?
Nandene
What does that mean?
means what the fuck, bro.
Favorite English slang?
Favorite English thing. Let's go. Bruh.
If you didn't live in Osaka, where would you live and why?
Ooh, that's a really good question. If I didn't live in Osaka, I would probably actually live in Seoul, Korea. Primarily because that's where a lot of my friends from university live. And I typically try to go out there twice a year.
If you had one title for yourself to introduce to others, what would that be?
I am that nigga.
Yeah. You are.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Most people say it.
How do you deal with burnout and stress?
Really good question. So I'm very good at disappearing when I need to, but still being available and present. So typically how I deal with burnout and stress is that I work out a lot. I also take hikes I do digital detox probably twice a month. Nobody would ever know because I'm still relatively available. Like I might be gone for like maybe an hour, 2 hours to their knowledge, but I'm actually gone for like 48 hours.
Okay. Last question. You were talking about manifestation.
Yes.
And you already manifested this bar, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next thing you want to manifest?
I would like to manifest kind of like vertical integration. So getting people their entire life cycle here in Japan. Whether that's them wanting to start their own businesses, whether that's them just wanting to come on vacation, finding hotels, having a restaurant, providing places for them to enjoy, also providing tours, maybe even insurance to a degree. So really thinking holistically about the entire life cycle of somebody living or traveling to Japan and creating a business model around that. So yeah, that'll be done, 7 years from now? Give me a little time. I need a little bit more money.
It's coming. Subterra bar. That's gonna make you the money.
Yeah. First you get the money, then you get the power,
Then the power.
then you get the respect.
And then you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Big facts say. But no, for real. Rich, I really appreciate you taking the time out of your
Thank
busy
you,
schedule
bro.
just to come over here and chat with us.
Thank you, bro.
All right,
really
man.
appreciate you.
We're gonna give you like the last little bit. If there's anything that you want to plug, anything you want the people out there to know, take the camera. I gotta watch this.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, thank you very much, guys, for watching. My name is Richard. You can find me on all social media platforms, RichaardoTV. Yeah, I'm a cool guy. I'm a cool guy. Some people would disagree. Some particular,
Fuck Rich.
club promoters. You an asshole! Some salty ass niggas. You could never be me, bro. You could never be me. You could never pull 300 people on a rainy night, bro. Don't worry, you might get there one day, fam. Calm. It's calm. Don't worry. Just relax, bro.
Shots fired. All right, so I'm loving it. Once again, thanks again, Rich. Appreciate
Thank you,
you. This has just been another episode of Speaking Easy Podcast. Of course, you can find all of his links, descriptions in the links below. The Chinaman behind the camera, he'll take care of all that stuff. But
Thank you very
this
much.
is us checking out. Take it easy, stay hydrated, be blessed. Boom.
All right.